Commando, we don't hear you. Pastor Commando, we don't hear you. We don't hear. So we're not. I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you, Pastor Commando.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you. I don't know what's wrong. I can't hear him.
Now you are the same. Every time I look around, now you are the feel. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, yeah, you know me, you know my name. Papa, you know my name, Abba Father, hey. You know me, you know my name. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele.
So anyway, we are very happy today to continue the program we started yesterday, talking about the mindset of the people in La République du Cameroon who say they are in government and are purposefully killing and destroying not only our people, but even people from other tribes or other regions of Cameroon and even themselves as well. So, what I want to bring out today, I want to say some few things that will be guiding principles of what we're talking about. Number one, all human beings on planet Earth were created by God, and God loves them. And when God created man, he said, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. That is God's will. God's will is for people to live and have life and even so more abundantly. That's why Jesus said in the book of John chapter 10 verse 10, he says, the thief comes but to steal and kill and destroy. I am come that they might have life and even so more abundantly. So the purpose of God is for human beings that he has created to live very well and have life and even so more abundantly. But the devil is the wicked one who comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. He says, the Bible says that those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. But those who are led by the devil, they do his lust. That's why Jesus said in the book of John, chapter 8, from verse 44, he says, you are you are of your father the devil. And see the characteristics we said before. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And here he says, the devil, the lust of your father you will do. And he was a murderer. So murderers, they kill. And from the very beginning. And the truth does not lie with them because they have no truth in them. They tell lies constantly. So when you see these characteristics, people who tell lies constantly, people who kill and destroy, these ones are led by the spirit of Lucifer, the devil. Now, when it comes to our situation in Cameroon and La République du Cameroon, we have been talking about their secret documents that they have created and sharing it among themselves. That's what they think, that they have hidden it from others. They share it among themselves, and these are the guiding principles by which they rule the country for themselves. And they hope to remain in power in perpetuity. That's what they say. And so we have been exploring this document. By the grace of God, it's come to public knowledge. And we want to spread it wide so that our people know. We need to know the mindset of the people that have been killing us, that have been doing bad things to us, who pretend to be our leaders, who pretend to be guiding us and have authority over us. You need to see that they don't have good intentions. They're very wicked. And so as we were reading this strategic plan that they developed in 2020, 2020. We read yesterday about their general principles, what they plan to do with the Muslims, they call the Northerners, what they plan to do with the Bamlikes, and also what they want to do with the Anglophones. And you realize that they have no good intentions at all. And these people are predominantly Bulus from Bias tribe, surrounded with some Betis and Ekangs and some few other people in other little groups that they have gathered among themselves to serve their interest. So today, as we continue, we are going to go and finish the document, and you hear what they talk about the other tribes. Yesterday, we talked about the Northerners, the Muslims, we talked about the Bamlikes, and we talked about what they call the Anglophones or the Amazonians. And you realize that their thoughts were very bad. Now hear what they say about the other tribes, smaller tribes. For example, about the people of Douala, they say, we must ensure that the political elites of other tribes are always illegitimate. That means they do not serve the interests of their people, and they are not liked by their people, and they are not supported by their people or chosen by their people. They must be people that the people don't like. To this end, we must ensure that anyone appointed to a position of responsibility represents his or her ethnic group. So they bring and impose on each ethnic group people that the people don't like, that they have not chosen. So going back to the people of Douala, he says that the Mbo tribe, the majority of the Mongo, they are totally harmless. They consider them to be harmless. They say, we drown them in Douala. They make them feel that they are from Douala, the biggest capital, and they will remain harmless and can do nothing. He says, we grant them a few favors. So any person from that area that thinks he has some responsibility, that the so-called Minister of Foreign Affairs, they think that they are granting them but a few favors. And by telling them that they are from Douala, which is their home, to keep them with us, we'll have to make sure they never become holders of elective office. They will prevent them from ever becoming any important person that was truly elected by the people by winning elections. We must always impose them at the head of structures so that the people perceive them as eternal recipients of assistance. So when they give them anything, they have to look at it as they were just receiving that in favor, as some kind of goodwill that was done to them. Basars are harmless as soon as they are offered a government post. It's the same thing even when they are given money to sacrifice the wishes of the youth by dispersing their votes in an election. So that's why they fight over bread and sardine. So they don't even care about their people. We should know that they are not capable of fighting for a cause. That's what we have seen. People have always been crying. Why can the Francophones not stand up as one man and fight for their freedom? Why can they not defend the true, what they consider to be good principles of the country? They said they have determined that they cannot fight for anything. They betray themselves very easily. The divisions in the UPC are proof of this. This is an asset for our retention of power. So they will make sure they divide them, bribe them in order to remain in power. For the East, hear what they say about the Eastern region. He says, we will have to make them believe that they are of the Beti ethnic group. They know that the people of the East are not ethnic Betis. Some of them have people from the north among them that look like Muslims. Some people from the tribes in Central African Republic. Some of the Pygmies and a few of the Ekang and Nangas. So they want to make them all believe that they are Beti ethnic group, and all the principles to be applied to Northerners will remain valid for them. And as you heard, they want to keep Northerners in abject poverty and suffering, that the people from there will never care about their welfare, and that they will only do some few things to favor the few that they have selected among them and keep them in abject poverty. This is what they intend to do to the people of the Eastern region. Now, that does not concern us Amazonians that much, but you can see that these Beti Bulus that are around here controlling everything, they don't care about anybody in that country. They don't care about the Northerners, they call the Muslims. They don't care about even the Betis that are among them. They want to antagonize them with the Bamlikes so that when there is trouble, they will be selected as those who cause trouble and the Bulus will be shielded. They don't care about the Bamlikes. They don't care anything about us. They say they can kill even all of us, the Anglophones, and it doesn't matter. Nobody should have pity. And they don't even care about the people of the East. And in fact, I would say they don't even care about themselves, those ordinary citizens of their regions. They just pretend that they're their people and live among them, but they don't really care about them. About the so-called political elites, those people that are in prominent positions in what they call government, that you give them some positions like government. Hear what they say. We must ensure that the political elites of other tribes, any group, are always illegitimate. And I have always said, if you only know one of BS ministers, you don't need to find out about the others because they are all the same. They are birds of the same feather. They say that birds of the same feather flock together. So if you know a Tanganji, you don't need to go and find out about Isa Chiroma. You don't need to go and find about whoever is a so-called minister from whatever region, Jean de Momo or whoever. They are illegitimate people that they have selected and made them believe that they did them a favor. He says, to this end, we must ensure that anyone appointed to a position of responsibility is supposed to be representing his ethnic group, but never appoint someone who has the sympathy of his people at all. Always appoint someone who is hated by his own people. So you realize that's deliberately done. So when you see that Tanganji is saying things that vex the spirit of Amazonians, that is deliberate. When you see Jean de Momo doing things that Bamlikes get angry, that is deliberate. You will not be surprised some of the other so-called ministers and people in positions of authority, if you go to their various regions, the indigents are not happy with what they are doing. But this is deliberate. All elected officials must be illegitimate. To achieve this, we must, even within our own ranks, favor the victory of the most least popular person, so that they owe their victory to us. There is no surer way to win their loyalty. So they will make sure that the person who can hardly win, who lost, is the one that is put out there as the one who won, so that they will be grateful to them that they were favored and then pay allegiance to them. From the head of department to the minister, we must never appoint anyone who has political support except by our own making. So they can never appoint somebody that the people like. They always want to appoint somebody that the people would not like. In terms of development, what everybody is crying about, whether it's fixing roads or getting good hospitals or basic necessities that people need, hear what they say. The desire to enrich oneself has led to embezzlement of public funds and a very unbalanced development of the country. They know that people have been embezzling funds massively, which we said yesterday. The Bulus and some of the Betis have embezzled funds and hidden them internationally abroad in Switzerland, in France, all across Europe, even here in North America. They have hidden them somewhere across Africa and other places, the Cayman Islands, and also in the land and in their houses. Recently, the so-called director of civil cabinet, 4 billion francs was stolen from his house by housekeepers. That's how much money they hide in their houses. They are saying here that this embezzlement is the one that is robbing the nation of its development, and it's on purpose. These people have stolen this money, hidden it so that if there is war, they will use the money to buy equipment to fight. Like we read earlier yesterday, they are willing to even carry out a genocide against the Bamileke that they say are the majority of the nation. They are willing to carry out a genocide to keep them down. But that will not succeed. It does not matter how much money they have amassed. Even if you inherit or amass all the properties of the earth, it still will not help them. He says today, the Bamileke areas are at an unacceptable level of development. We have an obligation to slow down this development. Can you imagine the kind of thing that they're saying? The Bamilekes have worked hard by themselves, gone even internationally out of the country to generate funds to develop their part of the country. And they are saying that that level of development is unacceptable. They must do everything to slow it down. That's how they bring administrators that literally frustrate any level of development. To do so, we must appoint special sub-prefects, that's those so-called DOs, whose mission will be to destabilize the development committees that are swarming there. So they will bring DOs that will put administrative bottlenecks for any level of development and prevent anything from happening. If we leave the Bamilekes free to develop, we run the risk of other ethnic groups making demands that could challenge our power. They know that, for example, the Bamilekes are developing, building very high-story buildings and developing their area very well. And if that happens, people of the East will say, why are we also not developed? People of the North will also say, why are we not developed? So that's why they want to slow it down and prevent it from happening so that other regions will not say anything and keep the whole country in abject poverty. This is horrible. All other African countries are developing very fast, even some that are controlled by Francophone Africa, like Senegal and even Ivory Coast. They are developing their countries, building nice airports, railway systems, facilitating public transportation. We don't want to mention emerging countries like Rwanda and others that are doing great. These guys rather want to slow any effort by the citizens to do something. They will not do anything, but they will not allow others to develop themselves. He says, as the Bamilekes have the capacity to develop themselves without waiting for the state, we must create the administrative conditions that must be met before any act of development can take place. So they impose what they call administrative conditions that you must fulfill just to frustrate the plans. For example, if they want to build a drinking water point, can you imagine just a little tap to drink water, which was in our country easily when Ahidjo was in power, but has all been destroyed? We will define the administrative procedures that will force them to abandon the projects. So if you want to develop your area and build roads or just bring water for your people using your own funds that you've worked hard to generate abroad, they will bring administrative bottlenecks through the so-called deals to frustrate any plan so that nothing will happen. You will give up and go away. The nerve centers must be held by us. All the important key positions within the army and the military and the judiciary, that's what they're saying, must be held by the Bulus and the people that they have full control over. It's enough to place a few other tribes in impressive positions, say like the so-called window dressing prime minister. They will put a few other tribes in some positions, but just for show, but define the roles so that the second in command, who must be one of us, who must be a Bulu Beti, will have the full control. That's why when Philemon Young was prime minister, the guy now who runs around calling himself Minister of Finance was the secretary general in the prime minister office. He was the so-called true prime minister. It got to a point where Philemon Young got sick and pretended that he was sick and went away for 3 weeks. And they had to bring him back because it was an open disgrace. This thing is open. So even the position that Atanganji holds, he's just making noise. The person who is controlling the Ministry of Territorial Administration is a Bulu Beti. Same thing with any other office. It does not matter which one in the country. They are saying here that any other tribe person that is in any open position where he is visible, we must make sure that our own Bulu Betis control everything, and those people are just there for show. And that is the fact. Then it goes now into the issue of education. You will see how they brutally destroy the level of education. It says, no one should forget that the destiny of a people is the fruit of its education system. In fact, the English-speaking people of Cameroon had a wonderful, thriving education system where people were even sending children from French-speaking African countries like Gabon and even Congo to come and study in our missionary schools. But now they want to destroy them. So many of us are fruits of that great education system. Now they're destroying that education system on purpose. They know that knowledge is power, as they say, then good education empowers you to do better in life. So we must lower the quality of our country's schools. Hear what they say. Instead of improving the level of education and compete with the rest of the world, their purpose is to lower the quality of this country's schools, while they send their own children to study in other countries abroad so that they can come back with good education and take over from them and remain in power, while the rest of the country went through a poorer, worse education system that they destroyed. And then they will think that those who came from abroad with better degrees, who are their children, they know more. And that's what they are purposefully doing. And so we've seen situations where when GCE results are pronounced, you hear people saying that I never took a subject, but they gave me an A grade in both A levels and O levels. These guys have literally destroyed the education system, and they have forced the missionary institutions and other institutions in English-speaking Cameroon to go and open them in East Cameroon, like Sacred Heart College, whatever missionary schools. They've gone and opened them there, and the purpose is to squeeze the good principles of education that they had in our system and destroy them, and then leave our own ruin and abandon. But anyway, no problem. Let them stay over there. We are free. Our system will be restored and built, and they can never compete with us. It says, under the guise of education for all. You know how they say that they want to make sure that every child can go through at least primary school? In Ahijo's days, people were getting scholarships all the way to university and even abroad. Now people are paying for school fees. So they pretend to be giving education for all and even have difficulties providing for just simple primary school education. So they're saying, under the guise of education for all, we need to make schools cheaper but lower their quality so that children come out not knowing anything. That's why you heard when our teachers went on the streets, they sent Francophone teachers who are speaking in worse than pidgin English. They're speaking in Franglais, trying to teach our children subject matters that they don't know anything about. How can somebody be teaching anatomy when he never studied biology? You know? And then he's speaking in Franglais, pidgin French, even worse than Creole. This is done on purpose to reduce the quality of education. This will avoid harmful intellectual competition. That's what they think. That means they don't want people who are knowledgeable and intelligent because they can challenge them. So this is the plan that this wicked, cruel La République du Cameroon government has for that country. And they plan to do this and maintain themselves in power in perpetuity. But that will not work, because the Bible says that righteousness uplifts a country. It says that, let me read it here. It says, righteousness, which is moral and spiritual integrity and virtuous character, exalts a nation, lifts it up. But sin, doing bad things, is a disgrace to any people. So in spite of all those their wicked, cruel plan, which is literally inspired by Lucifer and the devil, they will not succeed because they live in wickedness and cruelty. They don't have good hearts. And as I mentioned, the idea is that if they do not succeed to keep themselves in power in perpetuity, and by chance somebody else from another tribe, maybe the North or the Bamileke, seizes power in that country, then they will carve themselves out. They will secede by saying that the center, south, and eastern regions are now a different country, which is the reason why, that is their plan B, which is the reason why they were concentrating all developments, trying to make Kribi an international seaport, trying to make Kribi an international airport and the best in the whole nation. And they thought in their feeble minds in the region, in the sub-region. And then they put all the major electric power plants, like the falls that they were developing only in their own region, so that they will have electricity and the rest of the country will be in darkness. But they are fools, because they are so wicked and cruel, they will not be able to do good. That even if they seceded, and which does not matter to us, if they care they secede, we are not going to ask them, we are not begging them to stay with us because we are different from them. They are the ones who had seceded already. So let the Bamlikes and the Bulus beg them. But nobody is begging them. Let them secede and go. But even if they do, because of the wickedness and cruelty of their hearts, their countries will not be developed. Because it is righteousness that uplifts a people, that makes them to do better. That makes you be honest in office. When you occupy an office and somebody comes for service for which you are paid a salary, you do the service in a timely fashion. And things move. You don't have people in office who hang their coat on the chair and disappear for days and you can't find them. And then when they finally come, they take bribes and keep playing with you, and things go around for months and months and nothing is happening while other countries are advancing and going fast. That is the character that they have, which we have seen, which we abhor, which is one of the reasons why we don't want them. We don't want to deal anything with them. They call it the rigor of the English speaking, but it is basically righteousness, moral rectitude, being upright, wanting to do that which is right. And like I said yesterday, in their foolish minds, they say they want to destroy this moral rectitude by calling it the English system in the Northwest region, they call it. And I want to let them know it has nothing to do with the English or with the Americans. Even when you go to speak to our grandmothers in the villages, they know what is right from what is wrong. And this is just doing what is right. And all of this righteousness, being able to do good things, is documented for all human beings inside the Bible. And if you live by that principle and allow God to transform your character to be a good person, led by the Holy Spirit, that is not English and is not American, is not Anglo-Saxon. Any nation that lives right will succeed. And any country that lives in abject depravity of morals and character cannot succeed. That's why, in spite of all the money that they have stolen, even if they succeeded as their plan B is, they will not succeed. Their country will not, their area will not be developed. But by the grace of God, we have divided and separated ourselves from them. As God will have it, with time, we will be totally separated. Those interfering administrators that were sent to come and destroy and all efforts of development will be out of the land, will develop our country, and they will come and plead with us to give them work. Yes. Those very people who have done all that. And the Bible says that the wicked have hoarded wealth that will pass on to the righteous. So even that money that they have stolen and hidden in Switzerland and all those European countries and other places and their houses, because of their wickedness, they will not be able to use it. And with time, God, who created the whole universe, to whom all things belong, will transfer that wealth to the righteous, and they will see it back with the English speaking in Cameroon. Yes. And that's why their children will come to us and beg for work. They will come to us to beg for favors. They will come back to us and learn good morals. They will come back to us to educate them because they cannot be educated. And you realize it. When those children from such parents come abroad, they don't do well in schools. B.S. son came to America here, couldn't study well, and left. And they went abroad. They were in Europe for years, couldn't do well, and they had to go back and register them in their professional schools called ENAM, where they don't even attend classes and they're given pass marks. Now, you can now begin to question what level of education do they get in the ENAM where these so-called administrators are released from. They are indoctrinated with falsehood. They have said that the education system will be of poor quality. Therefore, those so-called administrators, those people who go to those professional schools, are indoctrinated with falsehood to serve the interest not only of those so-called leaders, but also of the French. And so their heads are empty. That is why you say them stupid things like they call human beings dogs, rats, and cockroaches because they never learned simple biology. They said they learned psychology and sociology in school. I don't know what kind of psychology and sociology they learned. They're ignorant of themselves. They don't even know who they are. All they know is the works of the devil, which is to steal, kill, and destroy. So that's why they thief. They are common thieves and criminals. That's why they steal, they embezzle. They designate money for a project, develop roads, they embezzle it and hide it in their pockets and in their houses and put it somewhere. These are common thieves and criminals. So this is the project. The papers are out there. I will encourage everybody to get hold of it and read it and know who your enemies are so that they do not come and bribe you with simple, cheap, small envelopes with some few thousands of dollars in there. Even if they are so-called millions, just the Beer family alone, from my personal estimation, they have embezzled over $600 billion. They hide it. Yes, they hide it. But they have embezzled over $600 billion that they hide in places. And then say that he's the highest paid president on earth with about 600 and something thousand dollars a year, which is a lie. And then, so they embezzle all of this money, and yet they cannot even take care of themselves. They cannot even take care of the people from their immediate neighborhood. They are so stingy that any legal development in the village is only about themselves and their houses and their few people. They don't care about the other villagers who live right there with them. So my people, their education is poor, and we are on the side of victory. The Lord who created the entire universe is on our side. He has a master plan. He will deliver the earth of all this wickedness going on. The Bible says, when Jesus returns, he will destroy those who destroy the earth. And the children of God will inherit the earth and rule with him forever and ever, world without end. We are not only waiting for when Jesus returns. Even before he comes, we have the victory right now, and these guys will perish. We shall see them no more. That is what I will say here. I don't know, Pastor Commando, if you're microphone has come back and you want to ask any question, we can begin to explore points as you bring them up.
Yes, 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 yes. My microphone is back. My microphone is back. My microphone is back. Oh, there's a feedback there. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so I think you can hear me now clear.
Yes, I can hear very well.
All right. So thank you very much, Doctor, for bringing that's history in the making, the hidden secrets of La République du Cameroon, which is actually the handiwork of the devil, because the devil does not even think of good for himself. So you can imagine people who are oppressing other people and yet oppressing themselves, they just know the logical conclusion. Like the Ambazonian people, as you really reiterated yesterday, that the Bible is a textbook that just came to concretize the attitude and the living conditions of the Amazonian people, which means that what we are reading now as a moral standard from the Bible was already imputed in the Amazonian person. And that's why we make the great difference. And our neighbors, instead of emulating from us the kind of lifestyle we are living, which is very, very acceptable, they instead come up with jealousy, which is from the heart of the devil. And of course, when you are trying to jealous your neighbor, you are actually doing it for yourself. And this has really manifested in the course of what we are now seeing if this situation did not happen. Now, Dr. Fred, I would like to cross over a little bit and ask you this question. I got into the geography of the world and tried to look at some few historical facts, and I discovered that the former USSR, which was Union of
Soviet
Soviet
Socialist Republic.
Socialist Republic. Now, they went into a fragmentation, and there are 15 countries that have been carved out from that country without a gunshot. What can you tell the world and the Amazonian people concerning that kind of phenomenon, which probably they came in together to stay as one, and when it was not working, then they now separated without a gunshot? What can you tell us about that kind of a phenomenon in that country?
For those who care about history, all throughout history, you've always had some important figures, individuals emerge as strong leaders that captured lands and controlled them for a season. And then later on, another stronger leader will emerge somewhere else and put them down and take their land and create other kingdoms. So that if you go back into history, most of these developments occurred around the land of Shinar, which is around Iraq and Iran, all those nations around there, which eventually mutated into what is called Babylon. But basically, you had strong groups like Egypt. When Egypt was very powerful, and you had the pharaohs, that's when the children of Israel went into Egypt and served there under Joseph and eventually became slaves before Moses came and delivered them. The pharaohs were powerful and controlled many countries. And then later on, the pharaohs were put down. The Assyrians at one point became extremely very powerful and controlled different territories. If you look at the maps of the world, you'll notice that the geographic lines were different. And the Assyrians controlled for a long time, subdued the children of Israel that Moses delivered and carried them away. Eventually, the Babylonians, who were south of the Assyrians, became very powerful, controlled a lot of territory going far back, and captured the remnant of the house of Israel, which was the people of Judah that remained after Israel was carried away by Assyria. They captured them and carried them to Babylon. And as time goes on, Alexander the Great, the popular Alexander the Great from Greece, from which the concept of democracy, the government of the people, by the people, for the people, is derived, he came into power and also captured a lot of land, going right far towards India and Pakistan. And you realize that the land of Afghanistan they called it the graveyard of great empires, because it was not easy to overcome those mountains. Many of the empires that were spreading, when they reached Afghanistan, it was not easy. And so Many of them ended there. Then you had even in China, Genghis Khan came from there and came westward and also controlled for a while, and his kingdom disappeared. So what we are talking about, the USSR, is just a recent history. What I'm trying to say is that all throughout history, different kingdoms have emerged. Land boundaries have always changed. Stronger kingdoms overcome the weaker ones. And some other kingdoms, when they realize that the one who was controlling us has lost power, they separate and secede from them. So when somebody like Biya stands up and says that Cameroon is one and indivisible, first of all, he is lying, because it will not always remain like that. Before 1883, 1884, when the Europeans came and divided Africa among themselves for economic reasons and industrialization reasons, you had different kingdoms in Africa, strong ones around Nigeria, Sokoto there, and you had them also going far back towards Senegal. You had the Ghanaian kingdoms, the kingdoms that went down to Ivory Coast and all of that. You know about the popular Timbuktu. So you've had those kingdoms going down through the Rift Valley to South Africa. You had different kingdoms as well, and in the north of Africa around the Mediterranean River, you also had different kingdoms. The Europeans came and put the boundaries. With time, you see the boundaries changing. Recently, Sudan was divided into two, you know. So whether they like it or not, the boundaries will always change. So what he said was not true. But besides that, when you come to the situation between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon, we are a distinctly different people. After the Germans had carved out a large portion of what was the German Cameroon in Central Africa, which constituted us and these Francophones, you had portions that have been given out to other countries, like the northern part of former British Cameroon is with Nigeria. A large portion, much larger than French Cameroon, is with other countries, like they are in Chad, they are in Central African Republic, they are in Congo, they are in Gabon. All those portions were of the original German one Cameroon, but they are gone. And so you cannot guarantee that even what is called Cameroon today will stay. And even the Bulus themselves are insinuating they don't want to subject themselves to the control of others, and they are threatening that if anybody tries to emerge as leader in that country, they will rather secede by taking the center, south, and east and forming their own country. And in their carnal minds, wicked, cruel carnal minds, they stole all the money and are concentrating what they think is major development projects in their region. And even then, with that, they are not succeeding. So even that country is a powder cake. English-speaking Cameroon is different. We were controlled by the Germans in the one Cameroon. When the Germans were defeated in the Second World War, the British carved out territory, which included us, controlled us for a while under Nigeria. So we have the culture of the British influencing us then. Then we were not happy with that form of government, and our forefathers separated in 1954, and we went and started the experiment of self-governance and democracy, the first time in Africa, in Boya. So we are a distinctly different people. Plus, we are a people of morals and character. We believe in dignity and doing the right things. We are not like those. In every family, in every home, in every community, if you find people who are bad, good people will stand up and resist. They'll say, we cannot put up with this. We cannot put up with wicked people who go around stealing and killing and destroying. So we don't agree with staying with people who don't love us, who kill us and destroy us, and they cannot keep to their word. So when we were forced by the British, Andrew Cohen, representing the United Nations, to say that we will join La République du Cameroun, and we had to go to Fumban and form a federated constitution under the guidance of the United Nations, and the British and the French Cameroon and English-speaking Cameroon sitting on the same table. The so-called powers, the French and the British, conspired and killed the Secretary General of the United Nations at the time, so that they will carry out their mischief. Yeah, they killed him in a plane crash over the Congo. They killed him. I'm saying it because it's true. Anyway, so then they went to Fumban, and the British were not there. The United Nations were not there. That is that mischief. And the French just brought Ahijo, somebody who didn't go far to school, learned that their philosophy and psychology in baccalaureate, and was a telegraph officer. They imposed him on the French, took him to Fumban, and then just force our forefathers to write some few things added to the so-called paper that the French had written, and they agreed that this is going to be a federation of two equal states, and said many other things where when one of them is the president, the other one will be a vice president, and they wrote there that the form that was agreed on shall never be changed. What happened? They changed it. By 1966, they scrapped all other political parties and formed only one. Then by 1972, they faked a referendum by claiming that the people have voted to cancel everything and just be one nation, and people had to say yes or we. So there was no choice. Again, falsehood. And then they had in that former document they indicated that having changed that the president from one side and the vice president will come from the other, and if there's vacancy, the vice president will take over. They changed it that the Speaker of the National Assembly will take over. And in 1979, they changed it that it will become the Prime Minister, and that's how they shortlined Muna, who was the highest ranking English speaking person. And then in 1982, the French deceived Ahidjo that he was sick and brought in this puppet, who is a pen in the hands of the French to do anything that they say. So, what I'm trying to say is that we know what has happened throughout history. And what he is saying there is falsehood. It's not going to happen. If he is not very careful, well, before he takes his last breath, the country may fragment into different segments before he knows it. But he is so old, over 90 years old. They say he was born on February 13th of 1933, that I will not be surprised if he dies before all this thing happens. And whatever the case, what he said was false, and the country will be divided. So countries divide.
All right.
When people get
Okay.
angry enough, they separate. So it's not uncommon. That's what happened with Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed like a powder cake. Then all the stands, the Tajikistan, they separated themselves. Poland separated itself, and so many, even Ukraine that Russia is fighting against today. Then you had Georgia and so many others. And Putin is just barely trying to hold on around the few that are under Russia in Moscow. And there are predictions that Russia in the future will also separate, because the people to the east of Russia are totally different from the people around Moscow. And in the future, it will
Wow.
be broken into pieces.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of Ambazonia, I want to let you know that our history tarries with the Word of God. And that is why our journey in this particular period going to Boya is very much attached to the journey of the children of Israel leaving Egypt and coming to their homeland. God had predicted they were going to be there for 400 years. Because they were looking for a man who will actually take them out, they spent extra 30 years and the man emerged. And Doctor, you are very much aware of the game plan of La République du Cameroon over the years. And a very glaring example is the confusion that he set into one of the first powerful political parties that emerged from southern Cameroons. And when that party emerged, in order to destroy the party, somebody is calling. Let me get, I think he definitely wants to say something. Hello, sir. Hello.
Good evening, historian.
Good evening, sir.
I'm calling from we have the light all this time.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sorry to say that doctor has not responded, answered the question the way he put it.
Okay.
Because he wanted to know why these people separated peacefully without any gunshot.
That's right.
In our case, but doctor has answered that one. That's what I'm expecting him. He instead quoted history. What we were interested in, why do these people separate with that gunshot, but our own with war?
Yeah.
Because and there is no document anyway that we are one country.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I think I was still going back to that. Doctor gave us the rundown history, and I was taking the case of Egypt to bring him back to let us know how that we are fully backed by the word of God, and we are distinct to be the children of God, because what happened to the children of God in Egypt is exactly what is happening to us in Amazonia. That's why I was bringing up that question again to buttress what you have just said. So, Doctor, I'm sure you have heard the speaker back from home. Can you just go ahead
Correct.
and then
Correct.
tell
So he
us?
is asking, why is our case involved with gunshot? If you listen to the program that
Yes.
we read yesterday, the original portion, this Bulu Beti government led by Biya says that they are being supported by France, and that as long as France is supporting them, they will control and have the victory, and they are not afraid of anyone. That is where the war is. You know the story of the French all across Francophone Africa, like Sahel, Mali, and the others. The French are the ones that are using the Bulu Betis to kill our people because they want our resources. All of this thing is about the natural resources of the earth. In fact, what happened with what is called the Nigerian Civil War, which happened in the 70s, was that they had discovered that there's a lot of oil in the Gulf Coast that starts even from around Ghana there and goes all the way to Angola. And Nigeria has a lot of them. And remember, if Nigeria has a lot of oil, Amazonia has it, which is where the Bakassi question comes in. So what the French did was they wanted to carve out a Nigerian state called Biafra. That's why Ojukwu went to Gabon, and that's where his war headquarters was. The French were using him to carve out this Biafra so that they can control it and control all the resources or the natural resources. But when Biafra did not succeed, these very wicked French have gone back and made agreements with the Muslims in the north and are the ones also controlling the oil refineries in Nigeria. That's a different story. But what I'm trying to say is that the war in Amazonia and why these guys don't want to leave is because of the natural resources in the land that they want to steal. Remember their modus operandi of the devil, to steal, kill, and destroy. They are being supported by the French. Now, you may ask me, so where are the Americans and the so-called English? If you listen to that paper that I read, the Bulu Betis say that the English have made an agreement with the French that they will not lay any historical uh, privileges or anything concerning English speaking Cameroon. And then I also mentioned that the agreement they had was that if we under French voted to join La République du Cameroon, the French will give them £2 million for their economic investments, like in Tico and all those places in the south. Remember that the Germans are the ones who created most of those plantations that we talk about. So then they will leave the land with the French. And when that happened, Charles de Gaulle said that Anglophone Cameroon was a small gift from the Queen of England who just died. So that's why the British say nothing. They had eaten soya. They had exchanged money. That's why they say nothing. The Americans are literally with the French together. This is a fact. I am from here. I know what I'm talking about. Don't be deceived. America is not in heaven. The Americans collaborate with the French. Remember that when America was fighting to separate from England, France was the first country that recognized the United States. And Lady Liberty, that you see, the Lady of Freedom, is a gift from the French to the Americans. So there are some historical ties between the French and the Americans. So the French and the Americans are speaking behind. That's why the America stays quiet while France is using La République to kill our people. But we don't need to despair and feel like our case is lost because we were created by God. And God is superior and stronger than all human institutions. And He will ensure that at the right time, we will no longer see these enemies that are killing our people. So the reason the war is because they don't want us to go away and they lose all the resources. Literally, English-speaking Cameroon, what we call Amazonia, the northwest and southwest regions of what La Republic calls, was providing over 60% of the GDP of the whole country. And so they are afraid that if we go, they lose. That's why you heard Francophones saying that, well, if we let these Anglophones go, what are we going to do? We're going to be poor. They know that. It's about the resources. And they don't mind killing our
Okay.
people because of the things.
Okay. All right, Doc. Thank you very much, Doc. I just want to add there again that the war that is going on between Ambazonia, I mean the genocide that Ambazonia is, the La Republic is committing on Ambazonia is also largely due to the seed of discord that the whites, especially France, has sown in the heart of La Republique against us. Meanwhile, the white, I don't want to call them supremacists or white fellows, they feel that they are superior, and they had fought wars in history very far back in the 17th and 16th centuries, and they know what it is. But most of us back at home, we've never had this kind of a situation that is really prevailing on us now. Although the slave trade was very, very heavy, and some of the tortures were very, very heavy, and the people with our melanin, that's our color, they can resist a lot of, torture and tough times. And the white folks, after playing games and taking away everything that we knew that came from God, because as the Bible says, that these people who lack knowledge, they perish. And so civilization started with us, every knowledge started with us, but we played about it, and then the fellows came around, pick it up, and decided now to turn around and use it against us. So what we are simply saying is that if we were not imputed with selfishness, with egoism, I think that the African soil, as it has been discovered and is being said now, has enough for every African to be contented and to live a life that people are rushing to go and live in the US or rushing to go and live in Europe, because they took our resources, transformed them, make their cities and their countries better, and we are now leaving the raw materials which they are still using, and that's what they are using to make war. Because I saw, I don't know whether that is true, but I saw a few months ago a UN, so-called UN peacekeeping vehicle that tumbled site in Congo, and what came out from there was gold. I don't know whether it's just a photocopy or photoshopping or it is real, but that is exactly what is happening. That the foolishness that we had put among ourselves to be fighting, like I said, La Republic will come in and make me to be against you and you against me from the same house. Then they will be the first people to climb on top of the house and say, see how they are divided, see how they are fighting, we can't do anything with them. Meanwhile, they are the ones who have come and sowed the seed. And so what we are saying is that Ambazonia has become wise enough and has learned a lot in this short period of history, especially from what happened to the greatest party that emerged in those days. And La Republic came in and fragmented it until the leader of the party, being an Ambazonia, had to die in exile in La Republic of Cameroon. And they've tried to do it now with this government. When they came in, while we're still crawling to interim, they came in, created Marianta interim, created Ayuktabe interim, created Chris Ano interim to fight the interim originally that Ayuktabe created when he was the president. And then our president, who right now is the present government of Federal Republic of Ambazonia, had to get another way out, of which we do not know what magic La Republic is going to use to duplicate the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to set up this kind of infiltrators and confusionists so that they can be now confused. But then God, who has been guiding us, has taken us to a point where we are now a government, and nobody can duplicate this government, because from what they did gave us understanding, and it's already also protected where it is. So that's just what I wanted to add as a result of some of these fights that are going on. And Doc, I would like you to take up this time and say the last statement. But before you say the last statement, our time is up. I just want to add that Ambazonians are very kind-hearted and still God-fearing and still doing what Jesus said, pray for your enemies. And the prayer we are praying for our enemies is that we have not hidden it from La Republic to Cameroon. We have told them to pack out of Ambazonia because their fight continuously against Ambazonia, it is a clear indication of their total destruction. If they don't leave Ambazonia, what happened to Pharaoh, that all his military perished in the Red Sea, is already happening, and the handwriting is very clear on the world that that is what is happening to La Republic of Cameroon. And we are not selfish because we know God's finger to tell them to pack out. So, conclusion, go ahead.
Well, I'm very happy for the speaker who called in, but what I'm trying to say is that if you look carefully, if you have a clear conscience, you realize a division between those who rule and the ordinary common people, not only in La République du Cameroun, all over the world, even here in the United States of America. If God grants me grace one day, I can share with you why the things are the way they are and who those individuals are that are causing all the trouble around the world. So, like, for example, not this taking away from here, if you look at the trouble that is between Israel and the Palestinians right now, the Israelis are those who formed Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat so that the Palestinians will never be one force. And the Israelis have a motto. They say, by deception, you shall do war. If you care, you go and Google it. That is their motto. By deception, you shall do war. So anything that they say is falsehood, if you are wise. So, because that is their motto. That means you tell lies to win your wars. So they formed them. And remember that La République is the one that is forming the BIR that kills Amazonians. La République,
Israel.
The Israelis are the people that are protecting not only BIR but other African presidents. And so they are the people in collaboration with the French that have been advising BIR to make these divisions among us. So that is just the work of the devil. But again, I will not go deep into that because we don't have time. If God grants me grace one day in the future, which it may not necessarily be regarding Amazonia, I can share with you exactly who these individuals are so you know exactly what they do. But the good news is that they have already lost. The Bible says that they will not succeed. And when Jesus comes back, he will crush them and they will perish. Very long story. So our story in Amazonia is positive and good. And they know when everybody knows the truth and rises up, they lose. And so if all Amazonians would work as one man and not allow themselves to be bribed, or give up or faint and try to go collaborate with La République for whatever reason. If they rise up as one man, La République is gone.
People in there who will receive bribe, they will always
so they are gone.
Who will receive bribe.
But in spite of those who take bribes and compromise, Amazonia has still crushed La République, and La République we will not see them again.
Sure.
I cannot tell you exactly when, but you will see it, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc. Thank you very much. Listeners of ABC Amber TV, it is on this note that we'll bring to an end the episode that has been going on for the past 2 days, yesterday, today. What about tomorrow, Doc?
Yeah, I'm here. It depends on what we want to talk about.
Okay, all right. Tomorrow we are getting another topic, and Doctor will elaborate on that topic, which we will be coming up tomorrow. It will be very exciting, very, very exciting. So have a wonderful day. Reverend, come in and then close us with by Father, you know my name, and we give chance to other programs. God bless you.
Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name, oh Daddy, you know me, you know my name. I can see your hand in my life, Lord. I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view.